very ordinary evening. You and her sit in the same room, yet it feels like you're worlds apart. She stands up and walks out of the room, says nothing, no anger, no tears, just a strange look, as if you've somehow become a stranger without even realizing it. That moment passes quickly, but it leaves behind a void that lingers for weeks, months, maybe even years. Have you ever found yourself in that kind of moment, when things don't explode, they just quietly fade away? And the scariest part isn't that she left, it's that you're still standing there, not understanding what just happened. You scroll back through every message, every conversation, every beautiful memory, asking yourself, why? But the truth is, there's no clear answer, because sometimes love doesn't end with a bang. It just wears thin, like a rope pulled too tight for too long. You don't know exactly when things started to shift. Maybe it was when she stopped replying as much. Her voice lost its warmth, her eyes drifted, her words grew short, and you, instead of stepping back to see the whole picture, moved in closer, tried harder, texted more, reached out more, until it hit you. You were trying to hold on to something that had let go of you a long time ago. There are signs, small, faint ones, but if you miss them, you end up losing yourself in a relationship you thought was still alive. And you're not alone. Many have stood where you're standing, quietly holding on, slowly wearing down, waiting for a miracle that never comes. That's when you need your reason, not to judge, but to understand, not to fight your feelings, but to hold on to yourself. There are relationships that don't end with a breakup, they just fade, like an old photo bleached by the sun. No fights, no tears, yet somehow you know you're no longer in that person's heart. She still smiles, still texts, still answers your calls, but something has shifted. Maybe you can't name it, but you feel it clearly. You're slowly becoming unnecessary in a relationship where you once placed all your trust. And when that happens, the first thing you usually do is blame yourself. Am I not good enough? What should I do to bring her back to the way she used to be? You start trying harder, becoming more gentle, sacrificing more, but every effort only drains you, because once love becomes one-sided, the harder you try, the further it pushes the other person away. Love isn't supposed to be a battle to keep someone from leaving. If someone truly wants to go, no amount of effort will be enough. But if someone truly wants to stay, you won't need to ask them to, they just will. This is when you need something beyond emotion. Not to stop yourself from loving, but to remind yourself not to lose who you are while loving someone who's already slipping away. That something is reason. Reason isn't coldness. It doesn't deny what you feel. It simply helps you move forward without falling apart. It helps you see clearly what's within your control and what you need to let go of, because it no longer belongs to you. You can't control someone else's heart. You can't change them, can't make them love you again just because you're kind, sincere, or have been there from the start. The only thing you can control is yourself, how you respond, how you keep your dignity, how you step back when needed, and most importantly, how you avoid becoming a stranger to yourself just to hold on to someone else. Love asks for giving, but not for erasing yourself. It asks for effort, but not for carrying the entire weight alone. A healthy relationship is where both people want to stay, not where one keeps pulling while the other let go long ago. I once watched a man quietly walk away from a relationship everyone thought was deep. No blame, no drama. He knew she had changed, and he didn't try to make her stay. Not out of pride, but out of clarity, knowing that holding on to someone who's no longer choosing you is the surest way to lose yourself. Sometimes stepping away isn't giving up, it's an act of awareness. You don't need to get angry to prove you're hurt. You don't need to beg to prove your love. Sometimes the calm way you walk away says more, that you loved someone deeply, and now you love yourself enough not to stay where you no longer belong. We often think love means holding on tight, but sometimes love means knowing when to let go, not letting someone become a shadow in your mind, haunting your steps so you move on without truly living, not letting pain turn you bitter, doubtful, or shut down your heart for good. Emotional maturity in love isn't about not hurting, it's about not letting the hurt control you. It's knowing that one closed door doesn't mean failure. It could be the path that leads you back to yourself. If you're in a relationship where all the signs say the other person is no longer really there, don't wear yourself out trying to prove you're enough. Don't turn yourself into a version that simply pleases others just to keep something that's already run dry. Ask yourself, am I still being true to who I am? Am I respecting what I honestly feel? And if the answer is no, then maybe what you need isn't to do more. Maybe it's to stop, gently, clearly, not to walk away in pain, but to leave whole. You might still love them, you might still miss them, hope, regret, but hold on to this: you deserve a love that doesn't make you question your worth every day. You deserve someone who looks at you with the same eyes, no matter how the years change. And if that person is no longer here, then maybe, just maybe, it's time for you to leave. Not because you weren't enough, but because you're strong enough not to stay where there's no room for you anymore. Sometimes the signs she gives don't come from anger or outright betrayal. They come quietly, in small comments, in seemingly harmless behaviors, but they say a lot. If you're paying attention, you'll notice she's no longer really here, even if she's still sitting right next to you. And when that happens, what you need isn't a dramatic confrontation, but a quiet, decisive step back. These are the early signs you shouldn't ignore. 1. Do whatever you want. At first, it might sound like she's being easygoing or generous, but this is often a clear sign of emotional disconnection. When a woman still cares, she wants to be involved in your life, make decisions with you, share things with you. But when every question is met with whatever you want, it means indifference has replaced connection. Many men mistake this for her being chill or understanding, convincing themselves it's a sign of patience. But the truth is, people only agree to everything when they no longer care. Everything is fine because nothing really matters to them anymore. In a relationship where one person has stepped back, whether due to boredom, fatigue, or a quiet decision to leave, the one still trying will always end up exhausted. If you're hearing this phrase more often than her asking how you are or what you think, it's time to face the truth. She started checking out while still being in the relationship. When someone no longer wants to share, they remove themselves from decisions, not out of total trust, but because nothing feels worth holding on to. Indifference masks itself as flexibility, but in reality, it's a quiet, intentional retreat from emotional intimacy. Sometimes letting go doesn't come from dislike, but from the loss of hope. She no longer cares about the outcome because the feeling has faded. What you choose to eat, where to go this weekend, or even what the future holds, none of it matters if she no longer sees herself in it. 2. I'm tired of repeating myself. It sounds like simple frustration, but it's actually a refusal to keep communicating. When someone still cares, they want to be understood and to understand you. Repeating things doesn't wear them down. It's part of the process of staying close. But when she says, "I'm tired of repeating myself," it's not the repetition that's exhausting her. It's the relationship itself. At that point, communication stops being a bridge between the two of you and starts feeling like a burden she no longer wants to carry. She's stopped repeating things because she's stopped expecting change. She's done explaining because she packed away what she needed to say a long time ago. Now, she just wants silence. One she doesn't have to break, and one where she no longer feels responsible for your feelings. In a healthy relationship, both people get tired, but they choose to be tired together. They talk, then listen, argue, then make peace. But when one person just wants to disengage, you need to take a hard look at what's left. No relationship survives on one person talking to someone who's emotionally checked out. The most painful part isn't having to explain things over and over. It's the indifference behind the reason she doesn't want to say it again. She's not tired because you haven't understood. She's tired because she no longer wants to be understood by you. And from that moment on, everything you say just falls into an invisible void no one wants to reach for anymore. 3. We're just too different. In the beginning, differences often spark attraction. She loves books, you love sports. She's calm, you're energetic. And in love, those things aren't a problem. When people still care, they don't erase differences. They learn to live with them and grow from them. But when you start hearing "we're just too different" in a tired tone, it's no longer an observation, it's a rejection. When love is still alive, differences are challenges to understand each other better. But when feelings fade, they become reasons to avoid each other, to slowly drift apart. That sentence is really a signal. She no longer wants to try. No more adjusting, no more finding common ground, no more moving forward. And the sad part is, you might still be trying to connect, while she's already looking for the exit. Differences were never the real problem, not unless the love has already run out. When someone's still in love, they treat differences as something to explore, to learn from. But when the heart is no longer in it, even similarities start to feel meaningless. At that point, differences are just a convenient excuse to cover up the fact that they've already pulled away. 4. Why can't you be like them? This isn't just a casual comparison, it's a cut straight into your self-worth and the value you hold in her eyes. When a woman starts bringing up others as ideal versions to measure you against, it means you're no longer her first choice. Comparison is easy when someone stops seeing what's special about the person right in front of them. It's not feedback, it's a silent dismissal. That sentence makes you feel like you're always lacking, always needing to become someone else, someone she thinks is better, more suitable, more admirable. And no matter how much you try to change, you're chasing a version that isn't even you. Real love doesn't put you on a scale against anyone else. It sees both your strengths and your flaws, and stays. When someone starts comparing, it's no longer love, it's judgment. And when the person you love stops seeing you through eyes of compassion and instead looks at you with measurement and critique, you need to ask yourself, are you being loved for who you are, or are you just being used as a reference point against others or the past? When love is real, people see each other with grace. They find what's different to be part of what's beautiful, not something to fix. But once you become a subject of comparison, it's a sign respect is fading. And once respect leaves a relationship, love doesn't have much space left to exist. 5. I need time. I need space. We've all needed moments of silence to reflect on ourselves, but when those quiet spells turn into a repeated habit, without explanation, without a clear return, it's no longer personal time. It's a step back from the relationship. That sentence may be sincere the first time, but if it starts to become a routine excuse, a way to avoid emotional responsibility, you need to be cautious. People only ask for time when they're uncertain about something or no longer sure about you. And if they begin to disappear into silence, dodge meetups, reply less, stop sharing anything meaningful, then this isn't a phase of self-reflection anymore. It's a quiet withdrawal. Someone who truly loves you won't let distance turn into confusion. They'll explain what they need, for how long, and why. They'll come back as promised, or at the very least, they won't leave you stuck in endless waiting. But if all you get is silence, vague delays, promises that never become reality, then this isn't time they need to understand you. It's time they're using to slowly drift away. A real relationship is a place where both people still want to stay connected, even when they need to step back and understand each other better. But if one person keeps walking further away while you're stuck in place, waiting without knowing whether they'll return, maybe it's time to stop waiting. Not because you're not important, but because you're clear-eyed enough to know no one needs that much time to decide whether they want to stay. 6. You're always wrong. One of the clearest signs of an unbalanced relationship is when you're constantly blamed. At first, it might seem small, a misunderstanding, a disagreement. But over time, you start noticing that, to her, everything wrong somehow always traces back to you. From big things to minor issues, from what you say to what you don't, from what you do to even how you think, everything is criticized, everything twisted into something negative. When love is still there, people try to listen, explain, and understand each other. But when she no longer wants to understand, blaming becomes a way to avoid real conversations. It's no longer about fixing things. It becomes emotional manipulation. And when you start doubting yourself, analyzing your every move and word, apologizing even when you're not sure what you did wrong, you're not in love anymore. You're living under quiet pressure. Someone who truly cares will want you to feel emotionally safe. They won't turn your pain into a weapon. But if every conversation leaves you feeling smaller, more wrong, more guilty, that's not honesty. That's a relationship draining your self-respect. You don't need to be right all the time, but you deserve to be heard and to have a fair conversation. If that no longer exists, then walking away isn't giving up on love. It's saving yourself from constantly feeling not good enough. 7. I've been busy, I forgot to reply. After the unfair arguments and the indifference wrapped in polite excuses, another kind of distance begins to appear, extended silence. She doesn't reply like she used to. She stops initiating. And when you ask, she says softly, "I've been busy," or "I forgot." These might be true once or twice, but if they become a habit, you need to seriously ask yourself, is she really too busy, or has she stopped making you a priority? When someone cares, they'll always find ways to stay connected, even just through a quick message. Being busy doesn't kill connection, but indifference does. And sometimes, indifference is delivered in a soft tone, as if it's not something you should be upset about. You might start to feel like you're the only one keeping the conversation going. The messages feel one-sided. You ask more, she answers less, or not at all. You wait all day for a reply, only to get a "sorry, I forgot." And it keeps happening until you realize this isn't a place to share anymore. It's a place where you've been learning to endure being ignored while still trying to understand. Not all silence is healthy. Some silences are just unspoken goodbyes. And if you're in a relationship where connection has to be begged for, that's not love. It's a one-sided effort, unnecessary and unworthy of continuing. 8. Do you think there's still something between me and my ex? Silence creates distance, but sometimes the past builds an even thicker wall. When she brings up her ex regularly, Even just to deny there's anything left, it's already something you shouldn't ignore. Not everyone can move on instantly, that's normal. But if his presence still lingers in her everyday conversations, it clearly hasn't left her mind. The mention of an ex, again and again, is a sign that some part of her emotions remains unresolved. If she reacts strongly when you ask about it, or quickly insists you're being paranoid, pay attention to more than just her words. Emotional reactions can reveal more than explanations. And if you constantly find yourself dragged into conversations that involve another man's shadow, the connection between you two is no longer just about you two. A healthy relationship doesn't include three people. Even if the third is only a memory, you can't build a future if part of her is still anchored in the past. Whether it's comparisons, deflections, or overzealous denials, they're often signs she's not ready to fully open her heart again. And if you find yourself competing with someone who's not even present, maybe the real question isn't how to prove yourself, but why you're staying in a relationship she hasn't truly committed to. 9. Everything around me sucks, including you. When the past hasn't been put to rest, the present loses its direction. And sometimes, people don't just hide in their memories, they push away what's right in front of them, including you. She starts complaining about everything: work, friends, family, and at some point, without realizing, you've become part of that list of things that drain her. At first, you might think she's just going through a tough time. You sympathize, you listen, you try to help. But when all her negative emotions start landing on you, when every time you meet becomes another round of frustration with no clear cause, this stops being sharing, it becomes dumping. And you don't deserve to be the outlet for emotions she refuses to process herself. Someone who truly loves you will seek peace in you, not use you as a place to unload everything that's wrong. When your relationship starts to feel like a space of constant tension, where anything you say can be twisted into a mistake, you're experiencing a slow, draining kind of emotional damage. Not from a big blow, but from tiny cuts, day after day. Just because someone is hurting doesn't give them the right to hurt you. You can stand by someone in pain, but you shouldn't stay if they're using you as the reason they keep falling apart. Because love means helping each other out of the darkness, not pulling each other deeper into it. 10. You deserve someone better. After the anger, the comparisons, and the silence, sometimes the final thing she gives you is a breakup wrapped in what looks like grace. You deserve someone better might sound like humility, a gesture of kindness, but in reality, it's the gentlest way to say goodbye, a rejection disguised as care. When someone still loves you, they don't push you away on the grounds that you should be with someone else. They want to be the one who's good enough, mature enough to face the challenges with you. But when feelings have run dry, and they can't bring themselves to say, "I don't want this anymore," they speak in circles, hoping you'll read between the lines. This phrase is one of the most common ways they do it. Instead of admitting their heart has changed, they try to protect their image, their dignity, and maybe even the illusion of kindness. But kindness isn't about letting you go without clarity. It isn't about withholding honesty, no matter how gently it's said. A breakup without truth is still a wound that lingers. You might feel confused, complimented, yet pushed away. But don't let the surface-level kindness trick you into staying where you're no longer welcome. Be clear, headed enough to understand when someone truly wants to stay, they'll do everything they can to make sure you never have to question that. And when they start saying you should love someone else, what they're really saying is that they're no longer ready to be the one who stays. After all those signs, what matters isn't whether you're sad or hurt. What truly matters is how you respond. Because the way you walk away from a relationship says a lot about how you continue walking through life. There's a question many people often ask themselves: why did she change? But someone who lives with awareness doesn't ask that question. They ask, how do I respond in a way that preserves my self-respect? Because you can't control someone's heart, but you can always control how you choose to leave. Reacting in the spirit of Stoicism doesn't mean forcing yourself to be tough, pretending you're fine, or denying your emotions. It's about acknowledging the pain without letting it define who you are. It's the ability to stand inside the hurt and still hold on to your dignity. No blaming, no screaming why, no long messages trying to find an explanation that was never going to be enough. You don't need closure from someone who chose to leave through silence, avoidance, or ambiguous words. You need closure from within, the moment you realize the only thing worth holding on to is yourself. Everything else, if it requires you to lose yourself in order to keep it, is no longer worth keeping. Someone who lives by Stoic values won't make a scene. They won't present themselves as a victim. They quietly put their inner world back in order, returning everything to its original place, not because the other person deserves it, but because they themselves deserve peace. They walk away not out of anger, but out of understanding. Understanding that to love is to hold, but holding doesn't mean clinging. And if staying means no longer being yourself, then leaving is an act of courage. The pain after a breakup is not something to be ashamed of. It's proof that you once loved deeply. But let that pain become a new beginning, not a reason to tear yourself apart. Let it teach you how to stand firmer, love more mindfully, and keep yourself whole for the next time. There's an image people often refer to when speaking of a Stoic breakup: a man walking alone in the night, not rushed, not panicked, not looking back. He doesn't need anyone to witness him, nor does he need anyone to understand. Every step he takes is a quiet declaration: I'm calm enough not to destroy anything, not even myself. Leaving like that isn't cold. It's dignified. Dignified with himself, with the past, with the one who no longer chooses him. And when you leave like that, no one needs to know how much it hurt, how sad you were. You only need to know one thing: that you didn't betray yourself to hold on to someone who no longer looked in your direction. That's enough. What you need after a breakup is not a strategy to make them come back, nor a list of actions to prove that you're okay. What you truly need is time and honesty with yourself, to accept that some things can't be saved, and that it's not your fault. We don't lose when we're left behind. We lose when we abandon ourselves trying to hold on to something that no longer belongs to us. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be hardened so you feel nothing. It teaches you to be strong enough to stay grounded amidst emotional chaos, without letting it wash away your sense of self. It's about knowing that pain is inevitable, but you can choose how to endure it, with calm, dignity, and gratitude for everything that was once beautiful. Because in the end, every breakup is an ending, but you can turn it into a beginning of your relationship with yourself, a beginning of how you will love again, a beginning of a path where, this time, you won't walk in confusion, but with clarity and lightness. You don't need to rush to find someone new to replace what's lost. You don't need to appear happy on social media to prove you're okay. Instead, learn how to sit with yourself, go through each layer of emotion with honesty and composure. Let sadness be present, but don't let it stay too long, because peace doesn't come from denying what hurts. It comes from the choice to look reality in the eye and still move forward with a heart that no longer carries resentment. The way you love next time will be different, not because you've become doubtful, but because you now better understand what's enough and what's lacking. And before you love someone else, make sure you no longer feel the need to strain yourself just to make someone stay, because the one who truly deserves your love will choose to stay without needing you to beg or sacrifice who you are. Leaving, for many people, sounds like failure, but in truth, leaving is a choice. A choice to stay true to your emotions, a choice not to trade yourself away just to hold on to something that no longer belongs to you. It's not a loss, it's a transition from the place where you once placed all your trust to a new journey where you learn to place that trust in yourself. When love ends, the thing that should be affected the least is your self-worth. The one who leaves may take away familiarity, but they cannot take your dignity unless you allow them to. A failed relationship does not make you a failure. It only says this: you were brave enough to love, and now you need to be even braver to walk away at the right time. Do you remember the image from the beginning of the story? When she walked away and you stood still, but this time you're no longer frozen. You're not clinging and you're not chasing. You simply turn and walk the other way. No looking back, no bitterness, just choosing a path where you no longer have to lose yourself in order to be accompanied. We've all heard those lines before. I don't think we're right for each other. You deserve someone better. I need some time. Those seemingly gentle words once left you breathless with pain. So, back then, did you leave at the right moment or stay too long? Did you walk away peacefully or exhaust yourself trying to hold on? If you stayed too long, don't blame yourself. It means you loved enough not to let go too soon. But if today you understand that leaving can also be an act of love for yourself, then you've grown. Mature love doesn't demand the other person stay at all costs. It demands that you know where your limits are, so you don't end up hurting yourself all over again. And if you're in that in-between place, unsure whether to leave or keep holding on, listen to yourself. Don't let reason suppress your emotions, but don't let emotions blur what you truly deserve either. Ask yourself, am I still myself in this relationship? If the answer is, I'm not sure anymore, then maybe, deep down, you already know what you need to do. Share your story. Have you heard any of the 10 signs? How did you walk away? Or are you still standing still? Leave a comment below, not just to speak your truth, but so that others might see and learn from it. Because sometimes, just one story told can help someone else pause at the right moment. Spreading emotional awareness in love doesn't have to be something grand. It's simply about living truthfully, choosing healthy relationships, and having the courage to walk away when love is no longer a place where you can be yourself. Because in the end, leaving is not the end. It's a greeting to a stronger, calmer, and more grounded version of yourself. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who may need a moment of clarity too. And if you'd like to walk alongside more reflections like this one, feel free to leave a like or subscribe to the channel. Thank you for staying with this message until the very end.